Rabindranath Tagore is one of the greatest poets of India and the first non-European to receive a Nobel Prize for Literature. Among his admirers was the scientist Albert Einstein and the actor Charlie Chaplin. He was cosmopolitan by nature and he had undertaken 2 world tours, in the process challenging the colonial perception of India as an inferior subject, as a nation of inferior subject. His art and his literature was enthusiastically received in the West, marking an emergence of transnational discourse of global modernity. He came into painting rather late, but he exerted considerable influence in the development of modernism. But he was also an influential educationist who had established a holistic experimental university in Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore's primitive art was a witty play of his inner subjectivity. He came into painting at the age of 63, and he was largely a self-taught artist, and he had learned drawing in his childhood. Some of his early sketches shows the portrait of his wife done in 1880. Though he had a lively interest in art, he was somehow diffident in taking it up seriously. His dramatic emergence on the scene of modernism was first noted in 1924 by the Argentinian writer Victoria Ocampo, who was nursing the poet back to health in her villa at Buenos Aires. And here she came across his sketchbook, in which she found doodles created by blocked out texts, and immediately realized his radical imagination and felt compelled that his work should be shown at an exhibition. She called up the curator of Trocadero Museum in Paris and impressed upon him the need for holding an exhibition of Tagore's work. On 2nd May 1930, Tagore's show opened along with the 2 shows of primitive art and oceanic art. His works consisted of faces, lovers, landscapes, imaginary architecture, and 2 of his famous paintings, namely a bird sitting on a humanoid beast, and a nude flying on the monster. Tagore's reputation had attracted the French glitterati to his exhibition, and he also received complimentary reviews that expressed the unexpected beauty of his painting and the rich imagination and unknown facet of his personality. As a matter of fact, Henri Bidot, a surrealist, gave a penetrating analysis of his works, in which he made a contrast between the mimetic poetry and the pure painting, unaffected by academic realism, in which he saw the convergence of spirit between him and the European modernists. In 1924, André Breton had written his Surrealist Manifesto, in which he had defined surrealism as a psychic automatism, unaffected and uncontrolled by reason. And it was this aspect of automatism which was already manifest in Tagore's works. As early as 1917, Modern Review had published short essays on automated drawings, which clearly shows that this was an aspect of drawing that was prevalent among many artists, even before André Breton wrote his Surrealist Manifesto. Tagore's exhibition was very well acclaimed, popularly received, and so it traveled across Europe. It went to England and to many cities there. It came to Germany, and in Germany it was shown at Dresden, Munich, Berlin. Then it traveled to Copenhagen, Geneva, and Moscow. In North America, it traveled to Toronto, New York, and Philadelphia. In New York, Ananda Kumaraswamy, art historian and curator for South Asian collection at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, wrote admiringly about the works of Rabindranath Tagore, particularly his unconscious, primitive quality that was strikingly there in his works. Tagore, as a matter of fact, had a very experimental, fecund mind that could work at different levels. And also, Kumaraswamy seems to have made a reference to his works where he said that they had a mystery, they had a strange quality, and a kind of unpredictability that manifested his works. William Rothenstein, the English artist, when he saw the works, commented on the strange vitality and power in his works that were far superior to the effeminate Oriental art. What made Tagore's painting create such a huge appeal among the Europeans? By 1930s, the avant-garde aesthetics had filtered through the public consciousness and it had created a substantial following. Tagore's lack of trained skills, as well as his childlike quality of his drawings, attracted many of the avant-gardists who were attuned to primitivism as well as to child art. And also, Tagore at this time came under the influence of Art Nouveau and Jugendstil graphic prints. His forays into the world of design was already made earlier when he had created an altered manuscript, leading to the creation of calligraphic erasers on the manuscript of Poorab and other texts in 1920s. Tagore, by having been attracted to Jugendstil style of the German graphic prints, was not limited to just a few motifs that inspired him, but rather the cumulative effect of the graphic prints, particularly of Gustav Klimt. The second element that he shared with the Jugendstil graphic prints was the notion of rhythm and of line as a form of energy and as expressive of movement. Tagore's economical forms and sparing colors were linked together by a flowing rhythmic line. As a poet and a composer of songs and dance drama, he was acutely sensitive to rhythm, describing in 1916 the universe as a rhythm of line and colors. Tagore transited from these decorative aspects of graphic design and became a radical modernist when he encountered the works of Native Americans, African and Oceanic art, particularly the ritual masks, totemic animals, face marks, and the body tattoos. These works made an immense impression on him, and he brought these ideas into his works. And from the masks, the ritual mask made a deep impression on him, and it became an obsession as an image in his works. He had the capacity of reducing the human face to a mask by cutting off the ears and removing all the inessential details. Scholars who have studied his mask have found resemblance with his family members, particularly that of his sister-in-law, Kadambari, who had committed suicide, and it had deeply impacted his life.